Beyond the obvious, and today I have my special guest. He's the CEO of Growth Mindset Initiative. With 30 years in the corporate world, 20 of those in manufacturing. No other than Mr. Stephen McConnell.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here, Daniel.
Welcome, Mr. Stephen on Abstract Asset. And can you please introduce more about yourself that I missed?
I am a coach, a personal mastery coach that works with corporate teams. I work with regular teams and I work one on ones. And what I do is I break the internal limits of a person so that they can empower themselves and grow. I come from 30 years corporate experience, 20 of those high pressure manufacturing. And I've built systems to where you have your emotional identity side where most of us go wrong, and then the logical side where you hear a lot of the other logical based systems for time management and so forth. My systems bring in the emotional, the intrinsic value so that they're sustainable when practiced.
Intrinsic value. We love that. Mr. Stephen, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world. So today let's talk about the word burnout. You're in the process of writing a book, isn't it, Mr. Stephen?
Yes, I'm
Yes.
writing. I'm editing a book called Seven Laws of Personal Mastery. I wrote it, and we're gonna be pre-releasing it here in the next month or so.
Looking forward for that. You've written that burnout is not a symptom, it's a system breakdown. If you look at the leader's body as the system, what are the first vital signs to go offline before the person even realize they're in trouble?
The first signs of burnout would be, and this sounds kind of well, it is sounds the way it is you're tired when you wake up. You don't get a full reset, and that's emotional, that's spiritual. You want to have the three levels there. You can be physically tired, but you might be regenerated physically and just completely mentally tired. And that's what burnout really is that emotions are continuously draining you even if you slept for you take a nap or you have the night and you slept overnight, whatever. When you wake up, you're still tired is one of the very first symptoms. The second symptom I would say would be the lack of being able to take um, some of those simple decisions and make them. You sometimes procrastinate, sometimes you're just shoot from the hip and make an instantaneous decision when you know that that might not be the case. That would be another symptom there is it's just like autonomous decision making, if not procrastinating and slacking off on the decision making. You're not you're not lazy, you're not procrastinating. It is simply a symptom of burnout.
Very well said, Mr. Steven. You make a crucial distinction. It's not overwhelmed that burnout first, it's the over responsible. Psychologically, what is happening in the body of the over responsible leader that different from someone who just temporarily overwhelmed?
Hmm. The over responsibility comes into this is where the neuro linguistic programming, that's I'm a certified coach, and that's where this begins is where you're overthinking. It can be overwhelmed considered, but it's where you're overthinking, where you're maybe ruminating some of the negative thoughts, future casting. You're doing all of this extra work. That extra work, then on top of it, you maybe say yes a lot of times to a lot of people when you should be saying no to a lot of people, or saying no to the things that aren't aligned with your progress, your goals, your achievements. And a lot of that is what creates the burnout. That's what creates that psychologically, is going back from what we call burnout and all of these other names. You're seeking validation externally. You're seeking identity or safety externally, when internally you're not feeling safe, or you're not rooted in your core identity. This takes a lot of energy from the human psyche and the body, the mind, body, and soul.
Interesting, Mr. Stephen. You've also posted the question, what if burnout is not the problem, suggesting its response to leading from the wrong center. How does the leader know if the body that they are leading from the wrong center? What is the physical sensation of misalignment versus exhaustion?
In this question, I love the question. I'm going to speak from my personal experience. That's where the seven laws of personal mastery came from, is my personal experience. And then after the 10 plus years of going through it, building it down into irrefutable laws. The the first step is being self-aware, learning to start to witness your habits and what's going on there. um, I don't completely remember the question. I believe it had to do with, may could you restate that, sir?
Yes, definitely. You said, what if burnout is not the problem?
Ah, correct. So it's burnout is the final symptom. It's as if we are diagnosing, and then symptom, it's the symptom really. What the original problem is going back to not being aware that you are seeking that identity that you have, your personal character. And that's where self-awareness, that very first step, comes into play. Is, what are your core values? What do you represent? Where are you going? Who is your future you? And then just putting the energy into that. So the burnout is the misalignment from who you truly are. That's often displayed in, well, you can see it in cultures that are heavy in the politics. Politics is just a simple another word for um, misaligned people, but it's also, everybody trying to get their way and pull your attention and seeking validation. Really, it's a group of people that have not completely sought their own identity and know who they are and how to walk forwards from there.
Very well said, Mr. Steven. We often hear, I'm so burnout. You suggest it might actually be emotional stagnation or being under challenge. How can a leader perform a psychological self audit to tell the difference between a body that needs rest and a spirit that needs a new challenge?
Mm. How they can do this psychological assessment so that they are able to know that they're in burnout. That takes understanding who you are, where you're going, and I would say those are the frameworks. If I may, I am an avid proponent to journaling. I journal every day, if not 100 times a day. Journaling in a way to where you are taking your internal thoughts and discussing them on paper brings that out of the emotional state down onto paper, brings it into your logical side's awareness, and then you can start to assess it. How do you can start to see the framework and the patterns of, you want this person to take care of this solution for you, or you want this person to recognize you, or you desire somebody else's attention. All of these are slight patterns to externalizing what should be truly internal. And so the patterns that we're seeking and what symptoms and patterns we're looking for burnout is just that, continuously externalizing what should be internal. In that, other symptoms of burnout is not only just waking up and when you're supposed to be rested, maybe you came back from a vacation and you're still completely emotionally tired. Another one is depression. Depression means that you're burnt out. You're not aligned with who you are. There's other ones. I used to experience a lot of temper, a lot of anger. That was the only emotion I knew at the time. I only knew how to express my feelings through anger. And a lot of times, this short fused emotions are an example, a symptom to burnout as well.
Symptom for sure. Your LinkedIn post states busy is not a brave, it's a warning sign. If a busy is a warning sign on the dashboard, what is the underlying engine problem it's alerting us to? What is being depleted or damaged in a leader's body when they are constantly in reaction mode?
A beautiful question. Thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
Think of your body, mind, and soul as an engine, just like that, an engine in a car, and it takes you so many RPMs to get moving. Too much RPMs to get moving. Too much of revving that engine and getting it to go for you to start moving physically. That is precisely what burnout is you're just always in this continuous mode. You want to have a really long to-do list and it never ends. You're always saying yes to other people so that you can validate your existence. You are afraid to stop and pause because it means that your meaning, your personal meaning, stops as well. And these are all subconscious. These are all because your subconscious learned what it learned, and then it says, this is your safety zone. And so when you're overachieving, and this is a lot of times you'll see this in these CEOs that are burning themselves out continuously, managers, department managers, you'll see addiction, heavy addiction within these individuals as well, or um, just continuously going, even though they might not be looking for other people's validations, they're continuously trying to achieve greater and greater things. This is not stopping. This is not pausing and looking at who you are, and the ability to pause and reflect upon oneself and then learn from it is crucial to removing burnout from your life.
Very well said, Mr. Steven. You talk about leaders being trapped in a system where everyone is cheering them on for running full speed into burnout. How does external validation like praise, applause, chemically hijack the brain's ability to feel the very real physical signals of deterioration?
So what we're talking about here, and I really do appreciate this, we're talking about the dopamine cycle. We're talking about the pleasure seeking cycle. It's not completely pleasure seeking, but the thought of achieving something small initiates a dopamine release in your brain. Let's just think of it in a smaller term. When you have your phone and you scroll and you scroll and you scroll, that's the dopamine cycle. It's a very short term um, cycle that makes you want to do it a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. to change the frame of that to a long-term cycle and receive the dopamine through the longer journey is very difficult for most people. A lot of people do. They cheer you on as you're burning yourself out because you might be getting these small wins and you're getting that continuous chemical serotonin and dopamine releases. And then someone compliments you, "Hey, great job! Another dopamine release." It's all short term to lead towards burnout. If, however, and I'll put a little asterisk there, if, however, what you're working towards is all aligned, if your team dynamics within the company culture is aligned, if you're all working towards the same thing, they're not just cheering, they're helping you out, they're being a team, trust and respect is within the team. Just having that ability of knowing that they're there and stopping and taking a pause is crucial. And if you're not stopping and taking that pause, you might be heading towards another time of burnout.
Certainly. One of your most powerful lines is the most dangerous kind of burnout is the one that looks like success. For the leader who looks successful on paper but feels empty inside, what is happening in their body's reward system? Why is this not success providing the expected dopamine hit?
Mm. Well, there's a certain point in time, and we're going into those short-term loops again, where you're either scrolling on your phone or people are cheering you on, and you're getting small achievements. There's a certain point in time where if you're not aligned with it, then you're not fulfilled in the journey. So you could have success after success after success, and you might be having those chemical hormone reactions within your brain, within your nervous system, but the other parts of your nervous system are tensing up and are in anxiety and in stress. That tensing up and anxiety and in stress then creates burnout simply because there's no fulfillment. There's no actual, real sustaining reward. It's like um, continuously eating a candy when you need a home cooked, solid dinner. There's no fulfillment after a while because all you have is the candy, and your body craves a solid dinner. That fulfilling feeling of a solid dinner. Same thing in everything that you do. Same thing in building a family. Same thing in being a CEO for a company. There needs to be the structure of fulfillment on the journey, not an achievement, but fulfillment on the journey. Because the journey's gonna hurt. B, the journey's gonna be rewarding. And C, you might have those small wins. You recognize the small wins, but you have to have a greater journey that's going to say, yes, I am doing this. And in that way, seeing those small wins and that small achievements, having a team around you that works and cheers you on as you cheer them on, all of that becomes this really sustaining, fulfilling feeling to where you're no longer in this overwork mode and it becomes empty, like eating too much candy.
Very well said, Mr. Steven. You propose that what needed is not another productivity hack, but getting your energy back. From a psychological standpoint, what is the difference between the temporary energy of stimulant like caffeine and the sustainable aligned energy that comes from self leadership?
Mm. All right. So in the book I call this your purpose, and it's not in the normal way everybody refers to. You have to have your purpose, and you have to work towards your passion. This purpose is very similar to your why, backed by emotions. The difference between that concept, I call that the North Star, and what we would call motivation. Motivation is just an emotion. It's fleeting. It's very, one day you wake up and you're just not feeling that emotion. You know the craving, you crave that emotion, but it's not going to get you anywhere because you don't have it. As opposed to if you know your purpose and your passion in the direction that you're going to go, you are aligned. And therefore, it's the equivalent of drinking a cup of coffee, a caffeinated drink. After a while, you're very let down by this caffeinated drink, as opposed to being healthy, exercising, and drinking good water. And the good water sustains you. You're no longer thirsty, and you're rejuvenated to move forwards. It's almost like a plateau, but if you look at it over time, it brings you upwards in a trend. So the difference is what it's doing on a daily basis versus what it does over time, the sugary drink or the caffeinated drink versus maintaining yourself health wise and so forth. So I went into that, but the reason is like knowing that foundation of the North Star, building that foundation of the North Star, rooting it within your identity and your character. It is almost as if you don't need the energy that you have, because just like the sun pulls on the earth, you're pulled towards it. It's already creating momentum for you. It's all you're working towards every single day. You find your purpose, your passion within stuff that even doesn't seem to be aligning with it.
Very well said, Mr. Steven. But before we wrap up our discussion for today, I'm inviting you to please do listen to my other podcast, people. My other podcast, because my abstract essay is already in sixth season, abstract poetry in third season, and of course my book 101 review in sixth season too, comedy 101 in fourth season, and my food 101 in sixth season as well, geography 101 love letters, movie 101 review, music 101 our fifth season, science 101, sex 101 in its fourth season, and of course my baby podcast, trivia 101, motivation 101, spiritual awakening 101, entrepreneurship 101, law 101, mental health 101, coaching 101, and of course my Bible verses 101. Please listen to them wherever you listen your podcast. So, Mr. Steven, I'm inviting you to be part of also of my new podcast, Coaching 101, and let's talk about coaching not, or what is the meaning of coaching anyway. So, Mr. Steven, you state bravery in leadership is saying no to urgency and yes to vision. What does no look like in the body for a leader who has built a career on saying yes? What is the physical sensation of setting boundary and letting an urgent but unimportant fire burn out on its own?
That was a beautiful question. The physical sensation of saying no feels like you're rejecting. It feels like you are rejected. And at first, especially for somebody who's not used to saying no, it brings in that tension, that shoulder tension, that you have to learn that the no's are boundaries that protect you. So just like we had slightly discussed, the subconscious is protecting you. You're taking over a little bit more of that responsibility and intentionally doing it by saying no to what's not aligned. And at first, it's going to feel wrong. It's going to feel as if you're denying somebody, you're rejecting somebody. However, if you have your vision, your North Star, your purpose, your why moving forwards, and you know that something is not going to move you forwards and it's going to be a side journey or pull you backwards, that strong feeling within your core is going to allow you to go through that temporary adjustment of friction.
Indeed. Very well said, Mr. Stephen. And can you please invite our listeners to support your upcoming book, your advocacy, your coaching, or anything you want to promote on After Cafe?
Absolutely. The website's right here. Go to mindsetgrowth.com, and that's MY, like you are owning your own mindset. It's an intentional journey. So MYNDSET growth.com. And I have resources underneath the resources, which is memberships to where you can start the journey on your own. Under coaching, I have you, if you want to talk to me about what's going on, I have the 30-minute discovery call. I have the book coming out here in the next month or so. It's 7 Laws of Personal Mastery. This is from my journey. And then it's been researched. It's evergreen concepts that we've talked about over time through humanity. Where is the best way to create fulfillment, and be the best that you can be, empowered as a human being.
Mm. Yes, people, let's support Mr. Stephen McConnell, because if you support him, for sure, more and more empowering coaching to come, more and more empowering books will rise. So, Mr. Stephen, thank you so much for sharing your knowledge and wisdom to the world, and thank you so much for your time.
Thank you, sir. It's been an honor, and I really have appreciated this conversation.
Likewise, Mr. Stephen. More to come, people. See you soon.